1, 2, 3.
Hello, everyone. This is Kyle Galaz with Poor2Pro Car Sales Training Podcast. Become a sales titan. I'm doing a very, very special episode. I am here in Sydney, Australia, in front of the Sydney Opera House. I've gone global. And now I'm here in Sydney. My daughter performed at that Sydney Opera House with her cello yesterday. And I figured, you know what? I have my notes for my next episode. I'm going to do it right here in Sydney, Australia. So shout out to all the Aussies. It's a beautiful country, continent. I'm speechless of how amazing it is. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple, switch over to video mode so you can see how beautiful it is. This place gets 30,000 visitors a day. It's such a beautiful handcrafted opera house. We got to watch 2 concerts there. It was just amazing. And shout out to London Galaz. She played her cello with the Spokane Youth Symphony. So we are in season 10. This is episode 3. I just want to say thank you to all my listeners. And this episode is called Under Allowance. Use it. Uh, we are in the season 10 is going to be all about sales managers training. So what's really cool about sales manager training is that a lot of you salespeople out there will become sales managers at some point in your future. Some of you may just become sales managers, or some of you guys out there and girls may be seasoned sales managers looking for more training, looking to get to that next level. And season 10 is dedicated to you. This has been a really cool season to do. I've been a sales manager for almost 10 years now, and to be able to pass along some of the knowledge that I've gained, I'm more than happy to do so. Thanks to all my listeners. I got my notes on my MacBook so I don't get distracted. There's so many beautiful people out here. Um, Today is June 30th, 2026. So if you are in Sydney right now, you could probably watch this video and maybe see yourself at the Opera House. It is 11:23 a.m. All right. Uh, Notes here: share some love and share the podcast. So if you've been a listener of the podcast and you're enjoying the content, the least that I could ask of you is just share it with all the salespeople you know, all the managers you know, to try to get the word out to help grow Poor2Pro. I'm looking for like-minded people in the car business world to become friends with. Looking for my fellow sales titans, and I appreciate all of it. Go to Instagram, type in Poor2Pro_car sales training. Follow me, send a message. I love to hear from you. All right, let's get into the episode. The reason we are managers is because we've shown that we know how to make money, maximize profits, and lead a team. The store, the dealership has entrusted us as sales managers to lead the dealership. The dealership is not a building, the dealership is us as a team. And there's only a few sales managers and finance managers at each dealership, but there's a sales team that's pretty big. So you've been entrusted with the skills, and you've shown that you have all the abilities to become a sales titan, a sales manager. And so what do we got to do as these sales managers? We need to make money for our sales team. We need to make money for our store. We need to maximize profits. And there's so many ways to make more money in the car business, but we're going to be talking about under allowance. So this episode is called Under Allowance. Use it. Now, what is under allowance? Because if you're not familiar with under allowance, then you're missing out on tens of thousands of dollars per month of profit. Literally tens of thousands, not 1,000 or 5,000, not even 10,000. You're missing out on tens of thousands of dollars per month at your car dealership because you're not using under allowance, and uh, we're not utilizing every aspect of a car deal to maximize profits, and one of them is under allowance. So what is under allowance? Not everyone even knows what it is, or even knows how to use it, and that's what this episode's about. So here's under allowance. I made some notes here. You have a trade-in. Your used car manager appraises the trade-in, right? Gives you a number if you're a sales manager. Sometimes you do your own appraisals. I did a lot of my own appraisals. I test the whole deal from start to finish. But let's say your used car manager gives you the appraisal. It's $10,000 for the trade-in at your dealership for this car deal. The true ACV on the trade is $10,000. This is the actual cash value that the vehicle is being traded in for at your dealership. The used car manager says, "Hey, this trade-in's worth 10 grand." That is the actual cash value of the trade. Now, when you go to structure your deal, you could put $10,000 on the pencil, the structure for the customer, and all is good. You go make your deal. Used car appraiser gave you 10,000. You show 10,000 to your customer. All is good, right? However, we want to under allow. So on the deal structure, we're going to show the customer that on the deal structure we're going to put 8,000 on a trade in. So your used car manager pays it for 10. Now you're showing the customer 8,000. So there's a $2,000 discrepancy, right? Well, the discrepancy is money in the deal. It's adding uh, $2,000 to your front end. So we get the customer to agree to the $8,000 trade in. We have now created $2,000 extra in profit. The appraisal, the in-house number for that car is still 10,000, but on the car deal you're showing them 8,000. So you've just added $2,000 front end gross to the deal. So if your car deal had an original front end of 2,000, now it has 4,000. And you can see in one trade in one small difference there of 2,000, you've doubled your salesman's commission. Happier salesman, more cars sold, more profits made. You've doubled the front end. So now if you have a $2,000 front end, or let's say a negative front end, and now you can make it a positive, and that's more money to the net profit at the end of the store, which a lot of sales managers get paid on. So we obviously want more front end gross. Now, most systems will calculate that automatically. I know CDK, which we use, when you do an under allowance, it automatically puts it to the front end gross. Boom, there's your 2 to 4 pounds or more, however much you want to add. Now, a couple things to note: don't be discouraged if your customer has a payoff that's worth more than the appraisal already. So they're already negative, right? Negative equity is already in house. Uh, don't be discouraged because you never know how much money that customer is willing to put down to save the deal. They want the car that bad, they're willing to put extra money down to cover their negative. So let's say your used car appraiser appraises it for 10,000, you show them 8, but they owe 16. Don't let that discourage you. Go out there with your pencil, your structure, and fight for that car deal. Fight to hold the 2,000 in under allowance and get the customer to put the money down. Or maybe that customer's an 870 score, 850 score, and they're buying a $40,000 vehicle, and that negative equity doesn't even matter, right? The bank absorbs it that quick because of how strong they are. Or you get them to put some money down, but you have to at least throw the pitch, right? You got to at least throw the punch to see if it lands. Uh, you'll never know how much money they'll put down. It's one of my things in my notes because we've had so many customers that say no money down, but then you go out there and say, hey, the bank needs 2,000 down. All of a sudden they're calling a relative or friend or the spouse saying, hey, they want 2,000 down to get the vehicle. Boom, you got your 2,000 down, but you wouldn't know unless you tried. You got to turn your front end deal into a monster front end deal, right? This is what sales titans do. This is what sales managers do that are on top of their game is they look at every facet of a car deal and try to make it maximized. Okay. You don't know unless you try. I have it all in caps, right? If you're not willing to at least try, then you're never going to know what boundaries you're going to be able to push, right? You never know how far you can take a car deal. My biggest under allowance was $5,000 when I was a car salesman, and the sales manager still I couldn't believe he laughed at me when I told him, "Hey," uh, he appraised it for 16. The used car manager, I told him, "Hey, structure my deal with 11,000 for the trade," and he laughed at me, thought I was joking. I'm like, "No, I'm serious. Structure it with 11,000." And I went out there and closed it, came back at full price, and I got a $3,500 voucher on that. And I remember the lady that printed the vouchers was mad at me because she said that that $3,500 voucher on one car deal was as much as her husband makes per month. And I was the one at fault here. I'm like, dude, your husband needs to find a new job. If you're mad at me for making $3,500 on one car deal, you need to talk with him about that, not me. Now, when you go back with the under allowance, yes, either you're going to have to do it or your salesman's going to have to do it, but you got to justify the allowance to your customer still, unless they flop over. So be prepared to have some ammunition to get there. Does the car have damage? Does the car have scratches? Does it have this and that? Does it need brakes? Sometimes those little things can justify it. And then they say, well, I was hoping to get 10. You're at 8. I'm like, I understand you wanted 10. It is worth 10 if it didn't have these things wrong with it. Okay, fine. We'll take the 8. What's my payment going to be? And then here's another thing that I do is I give my sales guy a negotiation allowance. So let's say I under allow $3,000 on the vehicle. The salesman doesn't need to know that. Used car manager appraised it for 10. I'm showing my sales guy 7. The sales guy says, hey, that's so low. I'm like, don't worry about it. You got $1,000 to play with. It's actually worth 8. but I'm giving you $1,000 allowance to negotiate with. Now he's not negotiating off the front of the vehicle. He's only negotiating it with a third of the under allowance that I did. And I tell my sales guy, go out there, you got a grand to work with, see what you can hold. And then they come back, hey, I was able to hold 500. I only had to give up 500. Your salesman has no idea that he just under allowed 2,500, right? But you sent him out there with some negotiating power. And then he came back with the $500 that he needs more on the trade. Boom, you just made $2,500 allowance. Now, here's what you can do if you're not used to doing this a lot, because it is nerve wracking. Try it with every trade, but just start small. Start with 500, start with 250, start with $750 of under allowance. No one's really going to miss that money, especially the customer. When they wanted 9,000, you gave them 8,500. Darn, we're so close, but your car needs a few things. Okay, let's do the 8,500, and just start breaking yourself into that mentality that, man, I can under allow a little bit at a time, right? All right. I was talking about my record of 5,000. Here's what I want you to do, and here's what I challenge you. Try to beat it, even if you did 5,001. Or how about this? Under allow and then message me on Instagram or Facebook. If you go to Facebook, type in Kyle Galaz, KYLEGALAZ. Message me the under allowance that you did, whether you're a salesman or a manager. Let me know the amount you did, and let's get you an applause. Let's get you a pat on the back that you're trying to find every dollar possible to maximize, uh, to be the best at the dealership and maximize your front end profit. I promise your sales guys are tired of having mini car deals. They're tired of that $100 voucher, the $200 voucher. They want monster deals, and this is the way that you can do it. A lot of dealerships nowadays are doing family pricing. They're doing at invoice. They're doing 500 over invoice right out the gate. So you don't even have negotiating power to begin with. And we're missing car deals because the customer wants 1,000 off. You only have $500 to work with. Well, the other 500 you could use in their trade in. So then it looks like, yeah, I'm giving my customer family pricing plus another 500. The other dealership was not willing to do that. Then you earn their business and maybe under allow some more and then get the back end. So let me know. Go to Instagram right now, type in under allowance, message me. I want to know if you listen to this episode, and then let me know how much you under allowed. I want to connect with like-minded sales titans out there. The biggest thing that the podcast has brought me was this circle of like-minded people, other sales titans out there, other managers, other finance managers, other GMs, GSMs. They're using Poor2Pro as their training when they hire a new salesperson, and I love hearing feedback from it. I love giving support, and I almost always message you back once I see the message. Sometimes it go to spam. So please, I like to connect with you. It doesn't matter where you're at in your career too. This kind of knowledge, whether you're a salesman or a sales manager or a GM or GSM, using the under allowance is such a great tool to have in your brain. And let's say your sales manager doesn't do this, but you're a salesman that wants to do it. Remember, you can remind him, or maybe even teach him that, yes, I want to do under allowances, and make that extra front end gross. All right, kind of a call to action, things to remember while you're working your car deal. Sales managers, slow down when you're working your car deal. Yes, it's so easy to get in the hype of the salesman saying, "My customer's in a hurry. My customer wants to leave." No, they don't. They don't have that doctor's appointment. They said no one goes car shopping 8 minutes before their doctor's appointment. They go to the doctor, right? So when salesmen are coming up, say, "I need to speed this up." Slow down. Think about, where can I maximize the dollar of this car deal? And when you have a trade in, try to think, okay, how much, by looking at the customer, by getting the feel of this deal, what are they trading in? How much could I actually under allow that's feasible? The market is saying it's worth 10. Kelly Blue Book, NADA is saying 11. It's got a little bit of damage. I think I could try 7 and justify that $3,000 in under allowance by going out there with my salesman. So slow down, think about the trade-in, and think about using under allowance as a weapon, as a another tool in your tool belt. And then second call to action: push your comfort zone. Teach your salesmen how to make real money. Too many salespeople nowadays are order takers. They're not sale makers, right? All they want to do is get the car deal. I don't care how much I'll make on this one. I just need the unit. I hear that more and more. nowadays than ever. I just want to get the unit. I'll make it up on the next one. Well, the next one never comes. They finally get their paycheck and it's $4,000 for a month's worth of work. Well, all those little in between deals that you said, I don't care, I just want the unit, right? Your salespeople are telling you this, and you're saying, okay, let's just get the unit. What does the customer want? Oh, they only want $750 off and all weather tech mats. Well, there's a grand gone. And you may have only had a grand to start with. So now you have a zero deal with the mini, and then you gave them all they wanted on their trade because you're scared of losing the deal instead of going out there and being a sale maker. You're just an order taker. So we got to train our salespeople how to make money. Hey, here's an allowance for negotiating. You got $1,000 to negotiate, but you're withholding $3,000 in under allowance. You teach them that. Go out there and negotiate, save some gross. You got a grand to work with. Then they come back and they say, hey, I had to give up the whole grand. But really, they don't even realize they just under allowed 2,000. They get their voucher and it's $750 instead of a $200 mini, and they made 50 or $60 on the back end. Those are the sale makers, not the order takers. Okay. Push the comfort zone. Now, as a sales manager, you're going to want to just give what the appraisal is because you want to get the car deal. You don't want any pushback. Sales managers now don't like getting off their butt and getting out there and grinding out a deal with the customer because they just want to get the deal done. They want to get them in finance. But how about instead of sending your salesperson out there that's weak at closing with an under allowance that they're not going to even know how to comprehend? How about we go out there on the first or second pencil and say, hey, this is what I can do on the trade. I know it's not what you want for the trade. No one jumps and says hooray when we get a trade in appraisal, but this is the stuff it needs. But let's focus on what is the most important, is the monthly payment. I know a lot of videos on YouTube and stuff say, don't negotiate on the payment, negotiate on the price, but are you paying cash or financing? And then you can start justifying the trade in, you move them to the payment because most people are paying through financing nowadays, especially if they're upside down. If they owe money on their car now, they're going to owe money on their car next when they're going to be financing. Understanding how strong your salesman that is working the car deal. Can you send them out with under allowance power? Or do you need to keep it a secret? Now, earlier I was alluding to, not even telling them. That works for some salespeople. They don't even need to know because ignorance is bliss. And then you have some seasoned salespeople that actually like to know, hey, this is what you're working with. I under allowed 3,000, but let's just say you only have 1,000 to work with. Well, those seasoned people that like big vouchers, they're not going to want to give up any of it. They're going to actually try to hold all $3,000 in under allowance. So some of your salespeople, you can give them the power of the knowledge of that power, or yeah, power of knowledge of power, whatever I'm trying to say, you understand. Or you have some salespeople that don't know how to use the power, and you need to keep it a secret. All right, all right. Now, remember this too, it's not a fail if you have to give up the UA, right? You went back and forth a couple times, you got a grinder, they're a tough negotiator, they know what they're doing. The other dealership appraised it for 10, you're trying to show them 7,500 bucks. It's not a fail if you have to give up the under allowance to show them the 10 or even 10.5 and you lose a little bit of gross. The key is, did you win the battle? Sometimes they win the little war, or they win the battle, but we end up winning the war by making the car deal. In the end, did we win the car deal, and do we take their money at the final? So don't be discouraged if you can't hold it every time. Remember, we're fishing. We throw out a hook, we see what bites. We throw out 10 hooks, we see what bites. And if you're not throwing out any hooks, how many fish can you catch? None, right? But if you're trying to under allow on 10 car deals, 10 trade-ins, how many of those you're going to probably capture? I would say at least half you're going to capture. And if you capture $2,000 per, that's another $10,000. So when I say you're missing out on tens of thousands a month, and your car dealership does 1 or 200 car deals, 300, 400 car deals a month, and you have 50% of them have trades, you have 150 trade-ins that you could possibly under allow $1,000 on. That's $150,000 to the net profit. And if you got some strong salespeople that can hold 2,000, that's $300,000 of net profit you could UA on just those trade-ins. Yeah, sometimes you got to give it up, sometimes you don't. But let's just say you make another 100,000 on the bottom line. Everyone's paycheck is bigger. All right. Remember, as managers, we have to be bold and creative. And we have to push the limits and create opportunities of more profit. You have to have a mindset at the desk that I'm here to make money. I'm not here to just make a bunch of car deals. Obviously, dealerships now are more volume oriented than profit oriented, and it's not because they want to just not make money. It's because they don't know how to anymore. They've lost the skill of making money. Every dealership nowadays seems to be an order taker and not a money maker. So the owners and the big bosses are like, oh my gosh, we just need units then. We just need volume. We need to hit the factory bonuses. We need to hit this. We need to hit the back end because they forgot how to make front end gross because they forgot how to sell. Now, if that's not you, then don't worry about what I just said. But the majority of dealerships that I'm seeing are giving away money. Even Ford, the entire company is doing employee pricing because they forgot how to make money. So they just looking for volume now. The dealerships. All right. Your paycheck depends on your skill and your sales team skill. The higher skill level you have, the entire store gets a bigger paycheck. From the lowest guy to the highest guy on the totem pole in the sales department, everyone gets a bigger paycheck if you can maximize every single facet of a car deal. So how about we negotiate on the price and hold it? How about we underallow on the trade and hold it? Just right there could be $4 or $5,000 in profit. And then we have a finance manager that knows what he's doing. He can maximize 2,500 to 5 pounds on the back, right? So you have a car deal that you're about to give away because you used to be an order taker, and now you're just making $500 per copy plus whatever holdbacks we got for the store. $500 to now 8 to 10 pounds per car deal because you became a sale maker, a money maker. All right. Before I end this episode, take a look at that Sydney Opera House. And yes, I'm wearing my Jurassic Park Nikes representing representing uh the USA. I will say Australia is absolutely beautiful. Getting to see my daughter play at that Sydney Opera House was amazing. We took a tour of the harbor here. We got to go to the history museums. We got to see the history of Australia. It was absolutely amazing. Everything in Australia is so far in Sydney has been amazing. The food, the coffee. Oh my gosh. If you ever get a chance to go to Australia, I highly recommend it. We get to spend 2 weeks here. We're going to the Great Barrier Reef to do some swimming. It's a life changing and perspective changing experience. And if you get a chance to ever come to Australia, I do recommend it. I can't say anything bad. There's barely any litter. It's so darn clean. Everyone's happy and smiling. It's just a real breath of fresh air to visit a country like this or a continent like this. But I'll leave you with a little view of all these people and Kyle Galas signing out.